At the top of Building 7 is a rectangular penthouse that contains air conditioning and other equipment. If you recall, the fires were on the lower floors, not near the roof. Why then would the penthouse be the first part of the building to collapse? How could the fires cause damage to the penthouse without damaging all the floors in between? Here's a different view. And another view. Since no fire has ever caused a steel building to crumble before, there is no way to judge if this dust could be considered typical. The person who took this next video decided to point his camera at Building 7 at just the right moment. If you've never seen a demolition of an old building, there's a DVD called What a Blast that shows how buildings are imploded using shaped explosive charges. This can sometimes take weeks to prepare. Notice that the dust comes from the base of the building, just as with Building 7. Also, the building falls down very quickly because the pieces are free-falling. The demolition charges are placed to cause the middle of the building to fall first in order to pull the outer walls inward. It is inconceivable that anyone would be running around in a building burning so badly, placing explosives in exactly the right places all within 7 hours. In fact, implosions take a minimum of 2 weeks and up to 2 months to plan and place the charges. Even stranger is the fact that the Fire Department of New York does not even train their personnel to do controlled demolitions. They are only done by highly skilled, experienced specialists who plan and test far ahead. Building 7 collapsed in the exact same manner that demolition companies destroy old buildings. They use explosives to shatter the joints holding the steel beams together. The explosives are detonated in a sequence that causes the building to fall vertically downward into a neat pile of rubble. Also, when the building is tall, the explosives are often timed to destroy the interior of the building before the exterior walls are broken, thereby causing the interior section to fall first. As the interior pieces fall, they pull the exterior walls toward the interior. This creates a pile of rubble with the exterior walls laying on top of the rubble. Photos of the rubble from Building 7 show exactly that, namely, the exterior walls lying on top of the debris from the interior. We were frequently told of the evil of Bin Laden, but how often did you see the collapse of Building 7? How many articles did you find in newspapers or magazines about Building 7? The only explanation for this secrecy that I can think of is that nobody can explain how Bin Laden caused Building 7 to collapse. By keeping this issue a secret, are they hoping that people will forget about the incident rather than asking awkward and difficult questions about Building 7? The 23rd floor of this building was given $15 million worth of renovations to fabricate an emergency command center for Mayor Giuliani. For example, it was given bullet and bomb-resistant windows. There's nothing strange about adding reinforcements to a government office to protect them from attack. However, this particular office had its own air and water supply, and it was designed to withstand winds of up to 160 miles per hour. Consider that when the towers fell down, clouds of dust and grit were thrown outward at a very high speed. The only people protected from that blast were in this special emergency command center. Of course, the city government claims that the entire building was evacuated at 9 in the morning, so nobody was inside this special reinforced bunker when the towers collapsed. This means that the city spent $15 million on this special reinforced bunker, and then everybody abandoned it just when it would have been useful. To make the situation even more suspicious, as explained in the book Painful Questions, the flight paths of the 2 airplanes that hit the towers appear to have been on a course toward Building 7, as if this building was broadcasting a homing signal.
After the second plane strikes the South Tower, the building's power is shut off and its tenants are evacuated. The major fires in World Trade Center 7 were as follows. On the east face, between floors 11 and 12. On the north face, on floors 7 and 12. On the west face, between floors 29 and 30. Smoke obscures the entire south face of the building.
In May 2002, FEMA released their report on the collapse of the buildings. Not surprisingly, the report does not explain anything. For example, rather than reveal their story as to how the fires caused Building 7 to collapse, the FEMA report states the following. The specifics of the fires in Building 7 and how they caused the building to collapse remain unknown at this time. Branches of our government spent 7 months investigating the collapse of the World Trade Center buildings, and at the end, they announced that they have no idea what happened to Building 7.
Did Building 7 collapse because of damage from the falling North Tower, or was it also a controlled demolition? Building 7 burns over a number of floors and suffers structural damage to its south face before collapsing completely to the ground. Did anything occur inside the building that might cause a collapse?
We started walking down the stairs. We made it to the 8th floor. Big explosion. Flew us back into the 8th floor. And I turned to Hesh. I said, this is it. We're dead. We're not going to make it out of here.
And we have Frank Ucioto back on the phone with us, Brenda, with some New York City officials. Frank, go ahead.
That's right. I'm standing here right now just off Broadway by City Hall with Michael Hess, who is the city's corporation counsel. Mr. Hess, you were trapped in, I believe, 7 World Trade Center. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, I was. I was up in the emergency management center on the 23rd floor, and when all the power went out in the building, another gentleman and I walked down to the 8th floor where there was an explosion, and we've been trapped on the 8th floor with smoke, thick smoke all around us for about an hour and a half. But the New York Fire Department, as terrific as they are, just came and got us out.
We have a 47-story, steel-framed skyscraper, which housed various government agencies and numerous important documents, damaged less than the other World Trade Center buildings. At 5:20 p.m., all structural elements inside Building 7 simultaneously fail, and it collapses symmetrically, imploding into a pile of rubble. This building had 81 columns, 24 core and 57 perimeter, running from the basement to the roof. For the building to have collapsed the way it did, all 81 of these columns had to collapse simultaneously. Could fires on a few floors have heated up all these columns to the breaking point at the same time? Let's ask the 9/11 Commission.
Governor King, may I ask another question, please? At 5:20 p.m. on September 11th, World Trade Center building number 7, 47-story modern frame steel skyscraper that no plane hit, collapsed into a neat little pile onto itself and exhibiting all the characteristics of controlled demolition. FEMA, in their investigation, didn't say that. They said the fire must have knocked it down, but they couldn't figure out how. Video evidence shows what appears to be explosive squids going up the side of the building from south to north or from bottom to top as the building collapsed. There was molten metal found in the basement of that building at temperatures that exceeded anything normal fire could cause. With all the confusion about what happened to Building 7, why is there not a word about the collapse of that building in the 911 Commission report?
We didn't see any evidence of the kind of thing you're talking about. We thought that was part of the tragedy of 9/11. The building collapsed later on. There was not a loss of life in that building. And it was not part of our report.
Not part of the report. Thanks.
So for the 9/11 Commission to totally ignore that, I think is unconscionable and shows that they did not do a thorough job.